Board of County Commissioners now in session. We'll begin with prayer followed by the pledge. Commissioner Jones, you lead us in prayer, please.
Yes, sir. Heavenly Father, we come to you today in the name of Jesus, asking you for wisdom and understanding today. Father, asking you to help us to calmly make decisions that will affect our today and every tomorrow that you are going to give us here in Franklin County. We thank you for this opportunity in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda would be approval of the minutes. And it seemed like we had
Yes.
3 different sets, but only got 2 here. What we got?
At the last meeting, we tabled the May 1st minutes, correct, Commissioners? Okay.
It was.
And the reason for tabling those minutes was that there was a motion in there that we had a conversation about Weems. And in that conversation, we talked about continuing the negotiations with, or furthering the negotiations with Sacred Heart as in reference to management to Weems. And the motion that was made was that, in the words that Commissioner Lockley used, I think he made the motion, I'm not sure if Commissioner Sanders made the second or not, was to go with Sacred Heart, and what his intentions was that we clarified was he wanted us to go forth with the negotiations, because there was no contract on the table, no agreement, there was no negotiations made as yet. So we need to clarify that for the minutes. And so I'm going to turn to Attorney Schuler to make sure I've presented my case correctly, sir.
Yes, that's what we discussed yesterday.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
what do we need now? A motion clarifying that, or just a statement? to
You would
clarify?
need a motion made by Commissioner Lockley, since it's his motion, and also by the person that made the second, I believe that was
Me.
Commissioner Sanders, to clarify the intention of his motion, and then after that, you would have a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Amended.
2 motions.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion. I made a motion last at that meeting, but it wasn't for him to be a done deal with Sacred Heart. It was to further it on to get more information.
Yes.
And, so that we can, see who's gonna do the best thing. But it wasn't like they had a contract or nothing like that.
Exactly.
And that was my intent of my second, too.
We have a motion for clarification by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. And your second motion was?
Motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I make that motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. So we have the May 1st minutes here and the May 15th minutes?
Yes, so now you need a separate motion to approve the May 15th
So
minutes.
moved.
Second.
May 1st and May 15th.
So I think it just did May
They
1st
just
with the
did May
amendment, so
I
now,
thought that was
April 17th.
oh, it was the April meeting.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it was the April meeting, we were clarifying the minutes, I thought it was May 1st. So
So
now,
we're actually approving 3 sets of minutes?
yes, sir, so now
Okay.
you're correct, now you have the 2 in front of you to approve, sir.
All right.
I'm sorry, my error.
So do we have a motion to approve these 3 sets of minutes? Or did, we have the motion in the second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
All your minutes are approved, thank you.
Next on the agenda would be Mr. Howard. Oh, payment of county bills.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next on the agenda will be Mr. Howard Neighbor, Superintendent of Public Works.
Morning, Commissioners, how y'all doing?
Good morning.
Got a couple items, we, had a little nasty weather last week, so we had a few trees down through the county, so all our roads and stuff, we had a few washouts, nothing major, so everything basically worked out good. So
Anything, you said had a couple items, was that both of them at one time?
Yeah, well, yeah, we continue on digging ditches and cutting grass throughout the county, and I got one more on St. Teresa. We gotta change a pipe out on St. Teresa Road, which is a narrow road, and it's an old metal pipe, which is collapsed and it's holding a lot of water up. So that road, when we get ready to put that pipe in, it'll probably be closed for about 3 hours. So,
Can we use the notification
Yes,
to let people know that that road will be closed, like a couple days before?
yes.
Okay.
yeah. I know a lot of people work in Tallahassee and stuff that's in and out of that road, so.
Tell me how you want it worded, Mike.
Okay. I'll work with Howard and Virginia. Thank you.
Yeah, give those people enough notice that they'll know that you're gonna be closed down
Yes,
for about 3 or 4 hours, so.
And then we got one more pipe too, which is on 12th Street at Owens, which hopefully one day this week we'll start on it. We got the pipe in, so,
Okay. I was approached at the grocery store about it the other day,
Yeah.
so,
Well, I've been ordering the pipe for quite a while, and it just come in because it was expensive.
it
Yeah.
is, it is.
yeah, so the pipe's in, so it's all good. and we
Well,
gotta get-
let me ask the question, is the city of Carabel gonna pay for the pipe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they pay for it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I thought that's what we had
Yeah.
agreed on.
Yeah, it took them a while to get it in because it was, what, 42 inches or
48,
46?
248,
Yeah.
40-foot pipe, 220/48, yeah, which is
Okay.
very expensive, so.
I appreciate that, Howard.
Mm.
Commissioner Massey.
Anything from the board for Mr. Howard?
It's not expensive if you look at how long they last.
Yes, sir, let it be there now, and it'll pull a lot of water, so,
It take up
yeah.
Any further comments from the board for Mr. Howard? Thank you, Howard.
Thank y'all.
Next on the agenda would be Mr. Fonda Davis, Solid Waste Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Have a few items just to go over with you this morning. First item, the recycling site in Caravelle has been pulled in for the time being. It was at the City Hall, and they are removing the NEST program to where the recycling was located. And it was causing a problem, it was gonna cause when they relocate, so we pulled it in. And now we're looking for a new site.
Okay, because I got numerous phone calls, and like I said, at the grocery store too, and they were upset that there's no recycling area. So, if you would please notify me to where when those people call me, I'll know what to tell them.
Yes, ma'am, we'll do.
I appreciate that, Fonda.
Okay, next item I want to discuss is, the household garbage. You know, we just took over the transfer station and spent a lot of money in it. At this time, Waste Pro is not bringing all the garbage from the county to us landfill. They're hauling, I ain't gonna say a majority, but a lot of the tons are going to St. Joe, to their transfer station. And, I just feel like, I've been talking with Mr. Schuler, I feel like we need to, hold their feet to the fire. We do have a ordinance here saying that they should bring the garbage to the landfill. Ordinance is 9611. It says this ordinance shall apply to the commercial collection of solid waste in Franklin County, Florida, and not to the individual households or other solid waste generators. All solid waste collected in Franklin County shall be delivered to the Franklin County landfill within 24 hours of collection and disposed of there according to the rules of the said landfill. Tipping fees shall be paid. Like I say, we just spent a lot of money in it. And I was talking to Mr. Todd Mitchell of Waste Pro, and he shared with me that he had to look out for their transfer station, because they spent a lot of money. And I told him also, we just spent a lot of money, and my job is to look out for us. So,
Not trying to cut you short, Fonda, or anything.
Yes, ma'am.
What is in that ordinance goes in that ordinance. And if they're gonna do business in Franklin County, they need to run it through our transfer station. Don't y'all all agree to that?
They need to do that or pay us for it, one of the two. If they got to take it over there, they got to pay it.
I don't want my garbage going to St. Joe. I want it taken care of in Franklin County.
That's how you make your money, right?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion that we have a lawyer, Mr. Schuler, to write them a letter telling them we want all that garbage brought in Franklin County and the forms.
and cite the ordinance to them,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion?
Yeah, we need that, that's part of our, that's how they make their money, part of their money. I mean, you can't let the money go somewhere else. 'Cause in a long time, it gonna end up falling on us.
You
Well,
could
we
have
just-
hired that fella to haul our garbage off and it's cutting him back too.
And we just bought a new compactor.
You bought a compactor and got the guy that's hauling the garbage here and it's cutting him back.
Any further discussion? We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is, we having forklift issue in the recycling. The transmission is going out in the forklift. It's gonna be about a little over $10,000 to replace it. We can get a new one for, 27. So, I just wanna get the direction from the board.
Can you lease them? Will it be, what the best deal? I guess that'll be
We are
my-
renting one now while that one is down, while ours is out of commission. We are renting one, it's $1,300 a month.
So if you buy one, or lease one,
I hadn't checked on the lease price, but yes, the one that we are renting right now, they quoted me 26.
26,
And the salesman said that I can get one off shelf contract for the same price, brand new, so
how long before they supposed to fix it?
they waiting on me.
Wait on. That's a lot of money. I mean, if you got that, and you can have your own, it's best you need to get that fixed. Or do something, get a new one and get it fixed or something.
Question from me, Mr. Chairman. Fonda, do you know how many hours is on the one we have? I know, the question I'm asking
Yeah,
is it worth putting a transmission in that old forklift? That's, I guess, what I'm trying to
right.
find out.
It's, I can't remember the exact numbers of hours, Commissioner, but I was talking with Jonathan, the mechanic,
Yep.
and he said it's high hours on it. We also just spent about $4,000 in a chunk, the steering axle
For the same
for the
forklift?
same forklift.
Okay.
They getting you that trouble back to back.
Yeah.
It's time to get rid of that.
I think it's, I wanna say it's about 10 years old.
I think you need to go ahead and get a new one.
Need-
Pleasure of the board.
I'd make a motion, you start looking for a new one. Or lease it or buy it. I mean, you got 10 years there. It done its service, you done spent 4, this one gonna be 10.
And you having to rent one in the meantime.
Yeah,
Yes.
when you add all that up, you might well get a new one. My opinion, I mean, I'm just one commissioner.
Is there any trade value to the old one?
Yes, they hadn't gotten a quote on it yet, but it is some value to it.
I mean, we're about, if you look at what he's putting into it, you're $16,000 away from a brand new one. you
Yeah.
know,
No. Is it
Good.
another question, is it one of them deals too, Fonda, where it's in other words, we're trying to decide, the lease we're talking about, is it lease to own? In other words, when we get through paying the lease, it'd be ours.
I can check into that.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
That was gonna be my suggestion, that we have Fonda bring us back. We already got one rented for the month, right?
Yes,
So bring us back the information on what the trade-in they're gonna give us, what the total cost is gonna be, blah, 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 next meeting.
okay.
And if that's, agreeable with the board. So we got all the information to make a decision on. Right now, we don't really have all the information.
Well, and two, I wanna get with the finance people and, you know,
Okay.
see what's going on with that.
Could you bring us all the information back at the next board meeting?
Special meeting tomorrow?
No. At the next board meeting.
Okay.
That's my thoughts. Board member, somebody else gonna have to make a motion to that effect, if we wanna go that route.
Mr. Lockley's got a motion on the floor
Well,
to,
add that in my motion and bring it, just, get that and bring it back to us. And if it get worse, it just might be,
I'll second his motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion?
Just
Yeah, I mean,
one
and-
question. Oh, I'm sorry, not, go ahead, Commissioner Lockley.
Well, we in business and you got to have, when you're in business like that, you got to have stuff to work with. I mean, not for it to work this month and be out the next month. I mean, you know, that's something we gonna have to have. That's a need, that's a have to have. But we can do without some things, but this here, stuff like that, you got to have it. And you don't need nothing gonna be breaking down every other day.
Mr. Chairman, just a question, these prices that you're getting, Mr. Davis, these are all, you're piggybacking onto a state bid list?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
I just wanna make sure we're consistent with your local bid policy, and he is.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Last item, I know we getting ready to work on the budget, and I don't know if I need to bring this up here. We have a couple vans, inmate vans.
I was gonna tell you, to tell the board this morning, we're planning to have it's gonna be the sheriff, the supervisor of elections, and I think Fonda, you're the only county department. So I got notification this morning, the sheriff is sick and will not be here this morning, so it'll only be Fonda and supervisor of elections. So I don't know if you want Fonda to have this discussion now or just wait until we get to that on the agenda. I think that's what you're asking, sir,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah. I mean, it's up to the board, it's.
Let's wait, Michael, and address that all at one time.
Okay.
Fonda, you just have to stay with us for a little while this morning,
Okay.
so we can take care of this.
All right.
We're gonna give you an in-house vacation.
Okay.
Does the board have anything else for Mr. Davis? Thank you, Fonda.
All right, thank you all.
Next will be Ms. Pam Brunell, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning, Commissioner. I actually have an extra thing for board action that's not on my board report. I need, board approval to, rectify the, local state of emergency that Commissioner Parrish, signed on May 26 at 6:31, for the tropical storm Alberto.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion?
You might need a new one, 'cause they got something brewing up now.
Not that I've seen out there, there's one on the, west coast.
This will expire after 7 days anyways, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
unless we renew it and there's.
So we're just ratifying the action
Yeah.
that was
It
taken
don't
out
take,
there.
it don't take
Yeah.
them long to come through.
Commissioner Lockley, there is a storm coming to Florida, and it's called FSU Seminole Girls.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, go Lady Knowles, right?
That's right.
We do,
I had to add something to it.
we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Next action item is approval of the Emergency Planning, Disaster Recovery, and Hazard Mitigation Grant Program Services, signing of the contracts for CDR McGuire, Metric, and Wheeler.
Pleasure of the board.
So
So
move.
moved. Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
All right, the, next is approval and signing of the Emergency Management Grant Assistance, for $105,806. That's our EMPA.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries also. Anything else, Ms. Pam? Okay, while you're here, Pam, I wanted to bring up the issue of, the mandatory evacuation, which was ordered on Sunday evening before the tropical storm. Just to let everybody know, you get a little bit different information at the EOC than what you see on TV. Comes straight out of the state EOC in Tallahassee. They give us a little bit of different information, not substantially different, but a little bit different because they don't want to panic the public and everything else. And based on that's the reason the mandatory evacuation was ordered. We knew the winds were gonna be over 40 miles an hour. We knew St. George Island Bridge was gonna close. We knew Dog Island doesn't have a road or a bridge. Normally when we have the wave action that we had, we'd wash out Alligator Point Road, and then those people can't get off the tip of Alligator Point and move inland. So you order these evacuations based on that. There were a lot of people on the island that was mad because the evacuation order was issued. And on behalf of the county, when you know, they told us the winds were gonna be approximately 58 miles an hour at some point. We know the bridge closes, and it's closed by the FHP. It's nothing to do with the county. The state closes that bridge. And when that bridge closes and there are visitors over there, that's when they start freaking out. Because if it gets bad, they can't leave. If somebody has a heart attack over there, the ambulance can't go across the bridge is closed. So you're putting a lot of people in harm's way. That's the reason we issued the evacuation order. I caught a lot of grief about it. Ms. Pam caught grief about it, and I'm here to ask the board, do y'all support the mandatory evacuation? And if not, what would the protocol be going forward? Such as the state of emergency that I signed on behalf of the board. Does the board want to have a meeting in order for me to do that? We all agree, yes, sign the emergency declaration. Do you want to have a meeting and say, this is what we're being told at the EOC? Do you want to issue a mandatory evacuation, or do you want the chairman to continue doing as I thought was best, Pam thought was best? FWC was there, Department of Health was there. We had a real estate agent present at the EOC and it was everybody's opinion that was there that the mandatory evacuation need to be issued. So I'm here to ask for guidance from the board.
Mr. Chairman, sitting on this board for 20 years, we've done this a lot. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. As chairman of this board, you represent all the people of Franklin County but this board. There is no need in the middle of a storm to call a special meeting when we have the emergency management director and the chairman of the board. That's what the protocol has always been, needs to be. There's no need in it. You know, my thing is, and it's always been through here, our number one thing on this board is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people of Franklin County. Now, if it inconveniences some people, we're sorry. But I would a lot rather be inconvenienced than have a major problem there. And you know, we always say, I always say, you err on the side of caution. And that's what it's all about. And, you know, sorry, it happened on Memorial Day. It happened when Alan left, because Alan, every time he leaves to go on vacation, we have a storm. There's no doubt about it. So you can time it. But in all reality, Mr. Chairman, you and our emergency management director did exactly what y'all were supposed to do. And we don't need to micromanage what you all do because it's set in policy. The chairman of the board, the emergency management director will take care of situations within the storm, you know, when we have storms and stuff. That's the way it is, that's the way it's always been, and I support you 100%.
Commissioner Jones, the St. George Island, thank you. The St. George Island is in your district. How do you feel about the situation?
I concur with what Commissioner Sanders has said, because here's the thing. It's unfortunate, it's, was inconvenient maybe, but none of us can control the weather. And we have to, it's incumbent upon us to make sure we take care that people aren't caught in harm's way because of our inactivity or failure to act. So I support it.
I appreciate the board's support.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
I support it too, because I'm like this. I'm not gonna put no life in front of no money. I don't care if they lose money, I'm sorry. You'll make it up later. But if somebody could lose their life behind that, well, about being a holiday weekend, just for somebody to make money, no. Well, I
One-
hate for it
one
to
more
be
step.
that way.
Yeah.
but It is what it is.
One more statement, Mr., or Commissioner Parrish, and I'll hush on this subject. You know, you said that, Commissioner, I know Jones probably caught a lot of flack, you caught flack, Pam caught flack on the evacuation, right? On the evacuation order. Had we not called it, and something would have happened, can you imagine the flack that you would have caught then?
The county would have been liable.
That's right, that's what I'm
Because
trying to do.
It's written in our CMP, our County Emergency Management Plan, that
Yeah, and this is the way I feel. Going forward, we've got the whole hurricane season to go through. I think you all did good. You informed all the commissioners what was going on. I told Michael to make sure you double check the traffic lights down Alligator Point. I was worried about that. So, I mean, you know, we've got bases covered, and it's like Commissioner Parrish said, there's a lot more that goes on than what's on the TV, you know? And that's where I've got to.
we're actually got a statement from the state EOC about subtropical storm Alberto that we will be putting out about damages that people do not know about that came from that storm.
Yeah.
I actually spoke to Kelly at the National Weather Service, and I'm like, okay, a tropical storm is 35 to 74. The center, as Commissioner Parrish knows, the center of that storm had 65-mile-an-hour sustained winds. Why was it not changed to a tropical storm? Because that's what it was. And when I went to bed Saturday night at about 11, I looked at it and it had not shifted. And I'm like, well, unless it turns back to the west before I get up, then we have to make a decision, because that put us, especially that island, in the cone.
Mhm. And if you go back and look at the weather stem, you can read what the winds was, and they were reaching 48 and 50 miles an hour on that
That's
island.
actually what FHP used to make their decision by, is our weather stamp.
Mhm.
I didn't want to get into a big discussion about it. I just want to make sure that we as a board was all on the same page, and everybody up here supported the actions taken. And if we need to change protocol, we would, but it sounds like the board is pretty much in agreement. I was blowed up on Facebook, and I actually had a real estate agent come to my office and, you know, complaining about the mandatory evacuation. I said, well, if you don't want your people that you rent to leave, then you go around and tell them not to leave. That's up to you. But you have now assumed the liability. Well, I don't want the liability. I said the county don't either. And that's the way I left it. He didn't want the liability, or the company didn't want the liability. But I assume, I guess by saying that he expected the county to take the liability. And I don't think that's the proper thing to do. As the board has said, our number one thing is public health, safety, and welfare. We thought it was best we did it, and we did, and we all survived, and the bridge did close. And you gotta understand that the visitors here are not from here. They've never been through hurricanes and tropical storms, a lot of them. So when that bridge closes and you can't take your family and leave, that's when people start panicking, but it's too late. When the bridge is closed, the ambulance don't go to the island, and the people on the island can't get off the island. And if you're not from here and you're not used to that type of weather, they really freak out when that bridge closes, because there ain't nothing else they can do. There ain't nobody coming to help you, and you can't leave. So that's kind of the basis that we made our decision on, is trying to look out for the public. But anyways, we'll move forward. Does anybody have anything else from Ms. Pam?
I got a couple items off my report.
Okay.
So these are three items on my report, 4, 5, and 6, I think I'm going to do now. Inform the board that I submitted a request to Senator Nelson's office for the verification of the status of PW 228, which is the $3.2 million FEMA funding necessary to repair the Alligator Point Road. I have received information that PW 2228 is in a FEMA review known as a Large Project Notification, or LPN queue. The project was supposedly put into the LPN on May 14th, and there's a 30-day review period. I've asked Senator Nelson's office to verify that PW 228 is in that review, and more importantly, to verify that there's not any more reviews of that for this PW once it gets out of the LPN. According to the information I received, the LPN is a mandatory review for all projects over $1 million. But I just want to make sure there are not any other reviews to be done. This county is still working on the design phase of the repairs. So at this time, the best I can estimate that road repairs on Alligator Point might get started in the spring of 2019. I mean, it's just,
Let me ask, Mr. Chairman, let me ask you something, Alan. You're still staying in contact with Representative Dunn's office, Congressman Dunn's office, aren't you?
yes, yeah, but I'm, the
Okay,
request.
because this is the first time I've ever known Senator Nelson's office to contact us about that.
Well, actually, it happened while I was gone. Michael
Yeah.
Marone had contacted me, so I had a
Yeah.
form to fill out from Senator
Yeah,
Nelson's office.
but what I'm saying is Senator Nelson has never said, do y'all need help in Franklin County? Because we have been letting our other legislative delegation take care of it. So I'm just glad that he's wanting to step on board, but we need to all work together at the federal level to get this done.
Right.
And I agree, it's gonna be at least the spring of 2019.
And I'm saying that without even looking at Clay, because it might be later, and I don't wanna.
Yeah.
His eyes are bugging out, so it might be a little bit later. All right, at number 5, inform the board the county received a time extension for PW 461 for Gulf Shore Boulevard repairs. We extended that till September 30th, 2019, so that's over a year away. This will provide adequate time to rebid the project, and a copy of the time request, time extension is attached. This third item, or item number 6, is board action to authorize direct a new consultant for the EOC to handle all the existing the FEMA projects that I've currently been handling. This would include PW 228, once it ever gets funded, and PW 461, which is the Gulf Shore Boulevard project. It is my understanding that these consultants are experts in FEMA procedures, and that they and FAM believe there are FEMA funds available to reimburse them for their work. Now, Pam and I have had a side conversation just 2 minutes ago about maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but I have done the best I could to work these projects through a very complicated system, and if these consultants have experience and are experts, then I prefer them to take it over. At some point, I've just gotta
You gotta get away.
get away.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
I will say these projects to me have been like children, but unruly children. I have been to the principal's office a number of times on these projects, and I'm sick and tired of getting in trouble with these things, and I'm gonna let somebody else try and rein these things in.
Until you read.
Yeah,
You read it.
yeah, I mean, when I got word they was gonna have a year extension, I said, I just can't keep doing this.
Well, and just to let y'all know, me and, myself and Alan have talked, he's gonna go out about the same time I go out, so,
Trying to wrap
you
some
know.
of the stuff. And with these
Just
two
getting ready.
consultants, now's the time to get them involved.
Yeah.
We're at a break point, we're gonna rebid the project. The PW 228 isn't even started yet, now's the time to get them involved.
I need to see that project worksheet, and make sure you have, admin fees in it.
Right,
That's
well, I'll
what
let
they'll
you,
be
I'll
paying
let you
out
look at it.
of. I'll have to look at it.
See
If
what's
not,
there.
then we got to go back and request admin fees.
I understand. We'll let them, if they're experts, we'll let them do that too. All right, thank you.
Okay, anything else from Ms. Pam while she's still here
No.
from the board?
Good luck, Miss Pam.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. I'll get these papers signed and get them to you.
Okay, just whenever.
Staff will get them to you. Mr. Eric Lovestrand, Extension Director.
I had one item that you can consider for action this morning that was not in my written report, and it relates to the sublease that we've been working on with the Research Reserve for the Robert L. Howell Building here in Apalachicola. And I think you have a copy of that. I think Laurie had a copy of that in your packets. But the first 11 pages of this 46-page document is basically the agreement that DEP has looked at, and DEP's general counsel has already approved that on their end, and it's also been looked at and approved by the Division of State Lands at DEP in Tallahassee. So all that remains is for us to sign off on it to execute that sublease on that property.
Mr. Schuler, have you reviewed the sublease she's referring to?
Yes, sir, I have, but would you also go over some of the issues we talked about yesterday, such as
Yes.
space sharing between IFAS and DEP?
Yes, that's some of the detailed stuff that Jen and I will work on in terms of putting together a facilities use agreement, because they will be sharing some space there, and we need to just outline all of that in a separate agreement. That's kind of a separate piece from the sublease, actually.
I just wanted the board to be aware that the county is entering into a sublease with DEP for a DEP property, but we're also going to be sharing space with another DEP agency. So you'll have IFAS and DEP contained within that same property. It's some allocation space that I
Right.
don't really have a firm handle on now. But, you know, you can't beat the rental rate, which is 0. And I really don't see, I know Mr. Lospan was somewhat concerned about some of the maintenance and repair obligations in the lease, but, I mean, I'm the lawyer, and he's just trying to look out for the county, so he called and had some concerns with me, but I would recommend that you go ahead and approve the form and content of the sublease, and we can work out any of the details on who's going to be responsible between IFAS, Franklin County, and DEP in the management plan. And if we run into a problem with that, then we can come back to the board with further recommendations and direction from the board.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones to approve the sublease, second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, sir. That's
Anything
all
else?
I had extra for you.
Mr. Eric?
No, sir.
Anything from the board for Mr. Eric?
Let me ask you one question. So are you gonna stay for the budget discussion too? Because
Yes,
yeah,
I
we
had
have
one
to add
item
it to
on
the
there
list,
that,
Commissioners, because I talked to finance yesterday afternoon, and they would prefer, since what are you sharing, utilities?
yes, DP has agreed to pay half of the utilities, although we'll have more than half of the space officially in terms of office space and area to work.
The finance office feels it'd be better bookkeeping if it actually comes out of his budget, so we're gonna have to include that. There'll be an increase to his budget for that cost.
The utilities, we're talking about water, sewer, and power. And everything else, right, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And, you know, we're doing a sublease, and they're paying for half, and we're paying for half. So, I mean, man's got to have power to operate in this building that we're refurbishing for him, so I don't see a big deal there, but we'll address that
I'll give you some numbers.
at the proper time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Next will be public comment, 3-minute time limit. Got public comment, please come forward, state your name for the record.
Good morning, I'm Bert Bolt from Alligator Point, and I wanted to just bring to you some voices of the people from the campaign trail, and these are just general comments that I have
Mr. Bolt?
heard from the
Bolt?
entire
Mr. Bolt,
area. Yes, ma'am.
you can make all the comments you want to,
Sure.
but don't say it's from the campaign trail, because we can't be in here listening to different campaigns and stuff. It's from
Understand.
you as a citizen of Franklin County,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
that's the way it needs to be addressed.
Will do. So let me start over again. In meeting people in general in this Franklin County area, there are several subject matters that I've heard over time that I think are just worth listening to. They're not judgmental in any way and generally open for debate and comment. One was that could we consider tripling the number of our EMT units in lieu of spending extra infrastructure money in the medical system? Just a thought. Another one was that there is apparently some regulations in Alabama whereby shucked oyster shells are mandated to be returned back to the waters there because of apparently residual spat that is there on the shell. Just a thought for that. And also consider potentially a mobile recycling system as a way of facilitating some of the recycling issues, where the recycling system is brought to the need area, people come in, deposit their product, and then that recycling mobile goes somewhere else and perhaps eliminates some of the burden of a receptacle. Those are just some thoughts, and I look forward to talking with you about that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Public comment, please come forward, state your name for the record. Any further public comment? There being no further public comments, we'll move on down to the next item on the agenda. Mr. Brent Anderson, Amendment 2 discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thanks for having me. So I'm here to inform everyone about something on the November ballot, Amendment 2. It was part of the 2008 special election where Save Our Homes was in there. The homestead property tax of 3% was permanent from the beginning. However, the non-homestead property tax cap of 10% actually had a sunset provision that comes at the end of this year. So starting January 1, it would come into effect. This amendment will keep in place that 10% non-homestead property tax cap that's currently in place, and allow rental properties and businesses and stuff like that to have that same 10% cap. So again, it is on the 2018 ballot. It was put on there by the state Congress. 97% of the House voted for it, and 100% of the Senate voted to put it on there. I kind of here to answer any questions you all may have about this amendment, and any questions anyone may have about it. Do you all have any questions about how it works, what it's for, anything like that?
I would like to ask a question if I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't pretend to know the answer, that's why I'm asking the question. If it's a cap on non-homesteaded properties, how is that limiting the tax burden on residents and families? I would think the residents would be homesteaded properties.
Yes, so residents who own homes would be homestead properties, but any businesses that currently rent their space or own their space that the business is located in, or anyone who lives in the county and rents their home or rents an apartment or anything like that would be affected by this, because those increases would trickle down to them, because the owners of those properties would have that cap eliminated.
But I guess my question is, how is that limiting the tax burden on residents who are probably living in homesteaded properties?
Well, so residents who live in homesteaded properties would be affected at, like if they go to a convenience store or a gas station or anywhere like that, because those are currently in the cap. Gas stations, grocery stores, retail stores, any restaurants, any of those kind of locations are currently protected by the cap. So if that cap were to increase, that cost would then be passed down to the residents that are consumers that go to those places.
Okay.
Any other comment from board members?
I have some information for you all as well, that I'll leave for you. And our website's on there and has any other information or questions that you guys may think of afterwards.
Okay, we do appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Previous meeting, you'd asked if any of the county departments or your constitutional offices were gonna have an increase to their budget. You would like them to come here this morning and discuss it with you to justify this, and then you would probably request more information. There are no motions for this, there's no acceptance of their budget, it's just information back and forth to see where we are. They can go back and ask your questions and come back at a later meeting, or wait until a budget workshop, whatever this board desires. So I see our supervisor of elections here, so we'll bring up her first, and then we can do Fonda and Eric in either order that you guys would like. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. How are y'all this morning?
Good.
My request is a little twofold. One has to do with my budget and one has to do with an immediate expense. I met yesterday with the Department of State, Department of Homeland Security, Undersecretary Wes Underwood, and the state of Florida has been given a direction to purchase a network security monitoring system. And if you've watched the news at all, you know how critical cybersecurity is right now, especially coming into the 2018 election cycle. The governor was able to secure $19 million in federal funding to assist counties in purchasing a specific type of network monitoring device. On top of that, he also, I don't know if on May 3rd, he secured 5 independent specialists that are going to work with the state and with the elections departments to make sure that we are up to code and up to standard on everything that Florida can possibly do to make sure that we're secure not only cyber-wise but also physically wise within our buildings. Where we're at right now is we have to purchase this piece of equipment up front, and the monies will be released on July 1st to be reimbursed back to the counties. So, what I need immediately, because I don't have it in my budget, is $6,000, which will purchase the equipment, it'll purchase the setup fee. I will be able to add the monthly monitoring to my budget, because it's gonna run in a 3 to 6 month cycle. They'll kind of average out, it averages from $640 a month to roughly about $1,400 a month. I look for us to fall on the shorter end of it, but you just don't know until they actually start the monitoring and see how much traffic comes through our systems. So that amount I can add to my yearly budget coming up, which will be anywhere from $7,000 to $11,000. The first year, that fundage is reimbursable, so the state will cover anything we put out that first year, but after the first year, then it's up to us as the county to maintain that monitoring service. I did send you guys some information on what it is that what it is that we've been asked to get. And my only other, I guess, increase you would say is a one-time fee to our election system and software in Verizon. They're doing away with all 3G service and going to 4G, and our DS200s, the modems in them are 3Gs, and they're gonna have to be upgraded, and it's $300 per machine. The installation is free, but that's just a one-time cost. They look for that 4G to be, ongoing for quite some time. And,
What's the total for that?
What's the total for that, Heather?
$4,200 is the total for that.
And you're needing some kind of action from the board today?
As
She said she
quickly
had
as possible, for that
When that'll be
$6,000.
reimbursed?
Yes, and that will be reimbursed just July 1st, the money's dropped, and I'll be able to apply for it immediately and should have it within just a few weeks is what they told us.
So,
Aaron, Martin, are we talking about a one-time, I understand
Yeah.
cybersecurity, are we doing that first, right?
Yes,
now?
that server actually, they want that purchased immediately before going into the August primary, because they gotta make sure that it gets set up, that everything is running through the system like it's supposed to, that it's clicking and catching anything that might be coming through.
Let me ask who's smarter than me, should this be a capital one-time expense from board side, or?
Yes, actually, it would probably be best if the board could pay for it, since it's in the middle of the year, and then if you're gonna be reimbursed,
Yes.
just once that check comes in, to actually sign it over to the board.
Okay.
And then that way,
So
for
that
this
would
year.
truly be an increase to her budget then, that would be more of the board taking.
As far as, the reimbursable expense, it
Yeah.
would be on our side.
Okay.
But as far as the ongoing
The
maintenance
ongoing-
and such, would have to be in her budget.
Okay, so, I guess, we're approving just the purchase right now, and then we increase it, but we talk about the actual, maintenance at the budget workshop. Is that how we wanna handle that?
And that's the amount of $6,000, right?
Yeah, the immediate, and it may not take that full amount. Whatever it doesn't take, then just,
Yeah.
we give back.
I'll second Mr. Lockley's
Okay.
motion.
I was just trying to separate a capital, one-time capital purchase from her reoccurring budget.
And you were out when she first started talking.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that first year, the first year of the maintenance fees will be reimbursable. It's just after that first year that we'll be responsible for the full amount. But hopefully, it'll be on the lower end of what we're looking at.
So the monitoring fees for the first year will be reimbursed?
Yes.
And I read what you sent out, and that's the way I understood it also.
And about the
So
6
so
month
when
mark.
so when we put that monies into your next calendar
Mm-hmm.
budget, when it's reimbursed, it comes back to the county, is that correct?
yeah.
That's what I'm assuming.
Okay, okay.
And then after that first
After
year.
that first, now next year, we're gonna have to increase our
Right.
budget, and we won't be reimbursed.
Right.
Yeah.
From there forward. And it's all going back to the cybersecurity that they had when the big Trump election went on, and
Yes,
people
that's
hacking
it.
into different servers
Yeah,
and trying to maintain the integrity of the election itself.
Yeah, they actually did the Homeland Security, Billy Sasser did a complete walk-around of our building, of everything that we have now. They're doing it in every county, and then he'll submit to us a list of anything that we can do to improve what we already have.
So we do have a motion from Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Sanders, to allocate that $6,000 so we can get started on that. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries. And the monitoring stuff we'll take up at the budget hearing. Okay.
maintenance stuff. What about the modems?
The modems, they can actually, I don't have to have that until I can get through the election, but as soon as, I think they are gonna quit selling the 3Gs completely June of 2018. They are going to, I guess, support them until about mid to late 2019. So there is a little bit of time, but the sooner the better, because I'm assuming once they really quit selling them,
Yeah.
they're not gonna want to maintain them. They're not gonna want
Long
to.
before that.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, if I could ask Erin, will this be another capital expense again, separate from her budget, or?
Well, that depends. I mean, we could always do it that way, and that may be best.
Yeah, because it's not a reoccurring thing, so
Yeah.
she
No,
won't
it's
need
just
that
a
kind of money.
one-time.
Yeah. I was just
Yeah.
trying to separate as much as her
Yeah.
reoccurring budget as I can.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, so really the only reoccurring thing will be after next year of the security monitoring
Yes, ma'am.
stuff.
You said that was $4,200,
It's $300 per machine. We have 14 machines.
and that will not be reimbursed.
No, that's out of our pocket.
So do we want to try to take care of this before the election or after the election?
It's really, I mean, it would be good if we could go ahead and get it done. That way we know we're utilizing the most efficient network available. Because if any of you have had troubles with your phone lately, it's because they're transitioning between 3G to 4G. And
What is your
Yeah,
suggestion?
iPads, Commissioner.
Huh?
It was kind of like when we had to upgrade the iPads because the 3G just wasn't cutting it anymore. It's the same.
I mean, if we want our elections to, you know,
What is your suggestion, Aaron?
I would say we could probably go ahead and do it, just because as you're doing the project right now, it would make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was thinking too, but I mean, it's up to the board.
So move.
Second.
Capital one time.
Get it on over with.
We got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Everybody understand what we're doing? All those in favor?
We coming up,
All opposed? That motion carries also.
we moving
so
up to
much.
date.
And we'll tackle the maintenance fees and all that in your annual
Yeah.
budget request.
all right, thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Who's next, Mr. Morone?
We could draw the card. Fonda, you ready to go? I don't think so. I think his budget actually went down. No, not yours, Fonda. I'm talking about the tax collector. Come on up.
Come on up, Mr. Davis.
Alan and I were having a side conversation.
Huh? Yeah, Commissioner, I thought I had my budget here with me, but anyway, I put in for 2 vans, one for solid waste and one for Park and Rec, to transport inmates. The one for Parks and Rec is, Officer Matt Nair, state employee that they provide for the county. They transport inmates all over the county. And the other van is for solid waste, which we have to go get and bring them to work to recycle.
So, the state van picks up inmates at the prison and brings them over to your location, and then they're
That's
put
correct.
out on the different jobs, and then the
No, no.
solid waste van brings inmates over that works in the solid waste.
That's correct. Now,
Area.
the state officer, he do not drop them off. He works them throughout the
Okay, he
county.
works a crew of inmates.
Yes,
On behalf of solid waste? Or
That's
Parks and Rec?
correct. Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, okay.
yes.
And what's the total cost of that?
We estimated about, we called in to Duval Ford. They never, returned our call just yet. But anyway, about 30,000 apiece.
You got to have them, though, isn't it?
That's correct, Commissioner. One of them is pushing about 200,000 miles on it, and the other one is about 150. 2006 model and a 2007.
Now, we gonna keep these older vans, or what's your intention there?
Optional.
Auction them off?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Also, before you move on to that, I don't know if there are any raises this year, but anyway, I had a couple employees come to me. They felt like they deserve a raise. So I told them I would bring it before the board during budget talk. So that would be Mr. Henry Rochelle and Mr. Willard Ballou. They feel like, the term that the years amount of service they've been here with Franklin County, they deserve a little bit more. So
What about the rest of your employees? They don't feel like they deserve more?
they do, but they had not come to me Mr. Rochelle and Mr. Blue has. I would love to get the other employees also.
Okay. We'll deal with all that during the budget hearings, the request for the vans and the raises he's talking about.
Yes, and so.
I mean-
How your other equipment is?
The knuckle boom, we have one fairly new, the rest of them is, they pretty old.
What about the forklift? It'll be an increase in your budget also?
Yes, that's correct.
When you bring us back the information and we decide which way we wanna go.
Yes.
So hopefully you can get the forklift and you can get a return call from Duval and Jacksonville about the exact cost of the vans by the next meeting.
Yes.
In reality, these two employees you're talking about that's wanting a raise,
Yes.
myself, I don't see that happening. I don't feel like we would be treating all the county employees, you're showing preferential treatment. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying you brought the request, so I'm telling you my opinion. And it's my opinion only, it's not the opinion of the board, but, I don't see that happening.
Okay.
Just, you can't operate that way. We got 200 employees here, I think, or maybe a little over that works for the county. And they'd all like to have a raise.
Right.
To just single out two people and give them a raise just ain't the way I think it should work. Just my opinion. But we'll tackle it during the budget hearing, and it is a pleasure of the board.
Okay.
We do appreciate you coming here this morning, and Aaron?
One other thing to note is, Fonda's actually gonna be having his, 544K loader paid off, in 2019. So that's actually gonna be in the budget year, so that may be a way that we're able to, finance the vans or actually outright purchase the van, is to use that paid.
Because we've already got money allocated that
Yeah.
will no longer be used?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's something else we can talk about during the budget hearings. I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't aware of that.
And Fonda,
Yes,
you are
ma'am.
are you using the sheriff's bid list?
That's correct. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I guess I asked everybody this, but is it more convenient to buy out or lease, or what the best deal for you? Or do you know?
Still waiting on the forklift. I sent a text out to the guy. He hadn't,
No, I'm talking about like the van thing. Will it be a lease to buy or buy out or?
lease would be better. I mean, because we keep something new. I check into that also with the
Yeah, check-
vans.
Check and see what the cost is and.
And I think what
Okay.
Commissioner Lockley is referring to, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, is that kind of like that deal that Howard get with the dump trucks. Basically, it's a lease for a year, and they just give you, is it a year or two? And they just give you a new dump truck, one,
Right.
But sometimes with vehicles, the lease is a little different because they charge you for extra mileage, and, I don't know, but that's just how I know at least to work with vehicles versus, the dump truck to me, that's a unique deal,
Yeah.
Well, we just need to look at the different
Yeah,
options.
just check into it.
The different options that we have, and I don't know how many miles you put on those vans every year. That
Right.
plays into it,
Okay.
It'll just bring us back all the options so the board can make an informed decision.
That's sweet, that.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Davis? Anything else you need to add, finance, Michael? Anything else to add on Fonda's behalf or solid waste?
I think Fonda did enough damage on his own.
Okay, Fonda, we appreciate you coming in and giving some clarification to the board.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
see, if them prisoners walk from the prison over here, so they won't have time to work then.
Say that again, Commissioner?
I said, if the prisoners walk from the prison to the site, they won't have time to work.
That's right.
You got to have something.
That's right. Yeah.
Either that, the same path will be clean every day.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fonda.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Who's next, Mike?
I think Eric is next, am I correct?
The average monthly utilities on the Robert L. Howell building down there run about $800 a month. So half of that's about $400 a month. It'd be about $4,800 annually. But I'm looking towards January 2019 probably, when I would like to start being able to share that cost with DEP. So that's 9 months in this next fiscal year, and that would be $3,600.
So $3,600 annually.
No, $3,600 for the 9 months in this 2018-19 fiscal year, but then on an
In
annual
the following
basis,
budget year, it
about
would be a whole year.
$4,800.
Now, Michael, we had some discussion yesterday whether we would just, whether that would be a line item for the county or we would put that into his budget. And I understood this
Yeah.
morning you said put it in his budget.
Yeah, it's better bookkeeping
Yeah.
for finance
Yeah,
if
as far
it
as
comes
being
up.
able to,
Okay.
since Eric's the only one that's gonna be in the location, his office, so that's the best way to.
Does the board understand, Mr. Eric, dilemma or, he's moving into another building once we get the contractor down there and get it rebuilt, and he's gonna have to split the cost with DEP, which is good. We don't have to pay the full cost. We're splitting the cost, and I think that's a good deal for the
I
county.
do too.
But you know that's a guesstimate what you're doing.
The utility cost, yes. Well, I actually got billing information from the Research Reserve on that facility a little while back. So that's what the average costs were at that time.
Yeah, but that's been a while since that thing been open.
Yeah, but the bills that I was looking at were bills when they had it occupied
Okay.
and were utilizing it, so water and everything was being paid at the.
The water
rate.
done went up.
Couldn't believe
Yeah,
that.
well, that's,
So you're-
that's
you're-
possible.
Your estimate, it has went up. You're estimating $3,600 a year?
3,600.
Oh, for these 9
9
months?
months, correct.
I'd like to figure in, if pleasure of the board, figure in $4,000. Board agreeable? I mean, we're not making no decisions, but.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that gives you a little bit of money in case it's high one month, and then we'll look at what's left over from that. I think that's appropriate. Okay, Mr. Eric, we appreciate you coming in and explaining yourself to us today, and
Well, I had one other item that I had thrown in there as a request.
Okay.
A vehicle for the county extension service. So I'm gonna throw that in there, but I don't have a front-end loader that's gonna be paid off, so I understand the concerns there. but
what kind of vehicle
I
are you
appreciate
talking
it.
about?
I would be interested in some kind of an SUV with capacity to haul stuff inside undercover. So we've got a couple of GMC Terrains in the county that are used by the other departments right now. So that's the type that would be probably the most useful for me. I estimate, just rough figure, and I did that, I probably put about 10,000 miles a year on my personal vehicle, running for extension business, and that's just hard to do.
In the past, all we've done is, throughout the years that I can remember, is pay traveling per diem. That's all,
Correct.
we've always been
We
able
do
to
that. That's available, and I appreciate that I can submit for mileage reimbursement with my personal vehicle. So I just threw it in there.
Okay,
for
thank you,
the
Eric.
board to request.
Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Let me double check the finance, did I miss anybody? That's perfect. Did I miss anyone? That's it?
Board recess 5 minutes.